Hello and welcome to Perspective, the action-packed youth debate show. This debate show looks out for bright teams of young debaters who try to capture the world's audience with their words. So in today's episode, I have a new topic and two new teams for you. So today's topic is capital punishment, but I'll get into that a bit more later on. But first, let's start off with the introductions. So before heading to the teams, I'm going to head over to the judges first, who I'm sure you know very well, but let's just introduce them again. So in the middle, I have Swaiba Ahmed. She's 20 years old, pursuing a career in acting and currently working on a play with a theatre company. Then over on the far side, I have Mahmoud Al Ghanem. He's interested in Middle Eastern politics and sports, and he supports Arsenal. He works for one of the leading health consultancies and holds a degree from the prestigious London School of Economics. And finally, closest to me, I have Ahmed Al Jarian. He supports Manchester United, unfortunately, and he's originally from Iraq. He graduated from also the LSE, and he studied politics. So that's our judges panel. But now let's head over to the teams. So against today's topic of capital punishment, I have team arguably the best, and for today's topic, I have team Nitro. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce the contestants on both teams. So I'm going to ask each contestant to take the mic, and I want you to tell me your name, your age, as well as something which interests you. Now, can I ask arguably the best to start? So once you've said your name, your age, and something which interests you, pass it on to the next person.
My name is Jason, I'm 16 years old and I'm interested in boxing.
My name's Yusuf, I'm 16 years old and I'm interested in cricket.
My name's Anish, I'm 16 years old and I'm interested in dentistry.
Okay, so we have a very sporty team over there from team arguably the best, bar the dentist. Now we're going to move over to team Nitro, and I'm going to ask you to do the same. So take the mic, tell me your name, your age, and something which interests you.
My name is Blaze, I'm 16 and I'm interested in psychology and criminology.
My name is Joyce, I'm 15, I'm interested in drama.
My name's Risham, I'm 11 and I'm interested in wrestling.
Okay, so we have a very mixed panel coming from Team Nitro. So today's topic is capital punishment, which, as we know, is a very controversial topic, and that's why it's here today on Perspective, because people argue whether criminals should truly pay for their crimes or whether they should be given a second chance. Now, capital punishment was abolished in the UK in the year 1965, but today here on Perspective we are going to be debating about the whole topic of capital punishment. But before we head over into the first one, I'm just going to come back to the judges, and as we know, the judges are going to be looking out for the quality of timekeeping coming from the contestants, the quality of the contestants' arguments, as well as the quality of their speech. So make sure you keep that in mind, contestants. But also, I'm going to ask each of the judges individually what you are looking out for today in the winning team. So Ahmed, can I come to you?
Today I'm looking for confident speakers who respect their opponents.
Swaiba?
I'd like to see a bit of back and forth, because that is such an important topic with lots of arguments for and against. So.
And Mahmoud?
As usual, make sure try and back up your points with statistics, because it always bolster the quality of your argument, and make sure you enjoy it and gain something out of it as well.
Okay, thank you, judges. So the contestants know the topic and they know what the judges want. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. So we enter the first round, which is the speech round, where I'm going to ask each contestant from each team to give a short 1 to 2 minute speech, just briefly outlining their main points which they are going to put forward in today's debate. Now, I'm going to head over to arguably the best first, who are against capital punishment. Can I ask each of you to just give your short 1 to 2 minute speech and just pass it on to the next person? So, Jason?
Today I'll be arguing against the implementation of the capital punishment. I'm of the strong belief that the use of the death penalty as a means of punishment does not aid in the resolution of a problem, but rather instigates further problems attributed to the result. I argue this primarily on the basis that no person should have the right to take a life of another, as the sanctity of life is a concept that should not be controlled by any human. Regardless of how serious a crime, I believe that it is inhumane for any person, government, or organisation to sanction the taking of a life. This is not only does it affect the convict, but it also has a very serious negative effect on his direct friends and family, who must also suffer the loss of a loved one, which would otherwise seem avoidable. Families of murder victims undergo severe trauma and loss which no one should endure. However, executions do not help these people heal, nor do they end their pain. The extended process prior to execution prolongs the suffering and the agony of the family. Families of murder victims would benefit far more if the funds now being used for the prosecution and trial and execution of convicts were diverted to counselling and other assistance that would better aid them. Furthermore, not only does one family suffer, but now a second does also, as they must also suffer the loss of a loved one. Is this really the form of justice we want to see exhibiting what we believe to be a civilized society in which we react an eye for an eye?
Thank you very much, Jayshan. So we had a very, very powerful speech there. Coming on to Yusuf.
I'll be arguing against the death penalty. So I believe that the death penalty fails to recognise that guilty people have the potential to change, and it denies them redemption for their crimes. The death penalty arguably believes that people are beyond redemption, beyond second chances, and beyond being allowed to live in society. I disagree, as I believe that these criminals who face capital punishment often never had a first chance. Poverty, racism, neglect, and mental illnesses often have an effect upon their character. They face death for the flaws within society. Do we really believe that this is right, or do we believe that society should offer them a chance to live rather than execute them?
Very, very strong speech also from Yusuf. Now we come on finally from arguably the best to Anush.
I'm also arguing against the motion of capital punishment. This punishment penalises those who commit the most heinous of crimes that involves mass murder. Although I agree that a sentence similar to the calibre of crime must be enforced, I strongly dissent from the concept of capital punishment, as in essence it is archaic and furthermore is irrevocable, and any new evidence suggesting the criminal is indeed innocent is sadly to no avail, as the criminal is dead and the punishment cannot be revoked. Since the reinstatement of the death penalty in the United States in 1976, 138 innocent men and women have been released from death row, including some who came within minutes of execution. In Missouri, Texas, and Virginia, investigations have been opened to determine in those states executed innocent men. To execute an innocent person is morally reprehensible and irrevocable. This is a risk we cannot take. And furthermore, you don't know how many innocent people have been wrongly executed since 1976.
Okay, so that was team arguably the best against capital punishment. We saw some very, very strong points coming from all three contestants there. Now it's time to see if Team Nitro can match that. I'm going to ask each contestant in Team Nitro to also give their short 2-minute speech, 1 to 2 minute speech, and then pass it on to the next person. So who's going to start? Risham?
Today I will be arguing for capital punishment for a variety of reasons. Firstly, I feel that those who continuously commit crime and affect society should be punished. And in many cases we can find that punishments such as prison are not enough, as when the criminals are released they start committing crimes again. Capital punishment would put an end to this. Secondly, I find that criminals that are kept in prison use a lot of taxpayers' money in order for them to be fed and have a space to live. For someone who was a disturbance to society to be using up the money which could be better used in schools or hospitals is unfair. Finally, I feel having capital punishment present would reduce the crime rate, because many of the criminals would fear the idea of death more than the idea of prison, and hence they would be less likely to commit crime, making society safer.
Thank you very much, Risham. So can I ask Joyce now to give her short speech?
Okay. I'm debating for. Whoa.
It's fine. It's fine.
What I think is criminals who murder someone or do something bad, they should get like something back. Because if you commit a crime, obviously you know what's coming. If you commit a crime, obviously you know what's coming for you. And if you kill someone like out of the blue, like an innocent person, obviously the person's family who you killed, they want revenge. You can't just, if you go to prison, you come out years later, what if you do the same thing?
Okay, thank you very much, Joyce. Now we'll come to Blaze.
My name is Blaze, and I'm going to argue for. And although I agree with some of the points which they have been made, but I would still argue for rather than against, because we believe that there are various reasons between why capital punishment should still be established or come again. Because if you compare the UK with America, you see that there's a big difference. And however, there are economics reasons to how, for example, capital punishment is rather less expensive when you compare to funding for someone, a criminal for example, who is in prison for many years, because whilst you're forgetting, prison is depending, whilst the government has to be funding, but then people within the UK, they're complaining about how money's not going to education or hospitals, so which is why we'll be saying for, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Reg. You can just leave them on the table. Okay, so we've seen that both sides of the argument have offered some very, very strong arguments, either for or against the topic. And so right from the start, I can see that this is going to be a very, very lively debate. And so it looks like it's going to be one that me and the judges are definitely going to enjoy. So we're going to head into the second round, which is the actual debate round, where the teams will actually be debating against each other based on points that they make. But that is going to happen after a very, very short break. So make sure you catch us after the break.